UFC Fight Night 162 Singapore on ESPN Plus 20 just wrapped up. Let's talk about the next fights we want to see. I'm going to go through the entire main card, giving you the fights that the winners and the losers should be taking next. We're thinking forwards. We're thinking 2020. Okay? We got 2020 vision right now. Muslim Salikov should face at welterweight the guy he called out, Li Jingliang. That makes complete sense. I like the sound of that fight. Both guys on a little bit of a streak right now at welterweight. Muslim Salikov, of course, in a 3-fight run since he's been on the UFC roster. Li Jingliang, of course, coming off a big win over Eliseo Zaleski dos Santos. Good times. Muslim Salikov versus Li Jingliang makes complete sense. I like the sound of that. Laureano Strapoli, I don't really care. Do whatever you want, man. Go knock yourself out. Well, don't actually knock yourself out. Like, hopefully someone else knocks you out. But just, yeah, do whatever you want. I don't really mind. Moving on. Cyril Gane versus Don'Tale Mayes. Cyril Gane, of course, took home the dominant victory of the submission in the last round at the very last 10 seconds, I believe. Cyril Gane should take on the winner of Ben Rothwell or Stefan Struve. And if those guys are like, no, I'm not going to take on a young, hungry up-and-comer. I'm a veteran. I deserve bigger fights and all that. If they want to play like that, or if anyone's even going to still be fighting after that fight, because who knows, they might both retire. They're old boys. Then I want to see Cyril Gane either versus Sergey Pavlovich, who was also on this card and got a big win over Maurice Green, or the winner of Andrei Arlovsky versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik. That's what I want to see. Cyril Gane needs a bit of a jump up. He's too good for these guys. We need to give him a bit of a push. He's not young. He's 30 years old, which is actually like a 25-year-old welterweight, so he's pretty young for the heavyweights. Let's give him a bit of a jump up. We're doing it to Greg Hardy with Volkov. We'll do it for Cyril Gane as well. And hey, if they both lose with their jump ups, let's have them fight each other and the winner stays in the UFC. That sounds good enough to me. If they both lose, we'll have them cancel each other out. Cyril Gane and Greg Hardy. Don'Tale Mayes, you're 6-3. You lost your UFC debut. I feel as though if you lose your UFC debut, you should really be considered on being cut. But if he wants to stick around, who knows? Greg Hardy might lose to Volkov, which most likely is going to happen. About 85%. That's probably going to happen. 90%. Don'Tale Mayes, Greg Hardy's going to need a rebound. Don'Tale Mayes will be a perfect rebound. Make it happen. Keep him around. Use him as a sacrificial lamb if things go wrong with Greg Hardy, which they most likely will. Frank Camacho versus Beneil Dariush. The winners. Beneil Dariush. Submission in the first round. Very good fight. Very good fight. Easily dominating the fight start to finish. And for Beneil Dariush, there's another guy on this card who just got a big win at lightweight. That's Stevie Ray, if you can call it a win. It was a close fight. It could have gone either way. I thought it went to Johnson. It went to Stevie Ray, apparently, according to the Singaporean judges. If that's a word. I think Beneil Dariush versus Stevie Ray makes complete sense. I also think that Beneil Dariush versus, say... Who else could be... Beneil Dariush versus Arman Tsarukyan. That's the other guy I was thinking of. Arman Tsarukyan's a guy, came into the UFC on his debut, gave Islam Makhachev all he could handle, but of course, Islam Makhachev's a beast. Won the fight. It was a close fight, very competitive. Arman Tsarukyan had his moments in there as well. Even won a round against Islam Makhachev. So, very competitive fight. I feel like Arman Tsarukyan versus Beneil Dariush should be the next fight to happen. And whoever wins that one can get a shot against a guy in the top 15 perhaps. Because they're going to be back on a streak. Tsarukyan on a free streak. Dariush, I think, will be on a free streak as well. Let's see who deserves to be in the top 15. That's what that fight will decide. Michael Johnson versus Stevie Ray. Again, Stevie Ray. I mentioned he should fight Beneil Dariush. That's a possible fight that could happen. If not, Alexander Hernandez needs an opponent. He's been waiting around, looking for an opponent. Everyone's kind of getting booked up at lightweight, except from him and Makhachev. If the him and Makhachev fight doesn't happen, then hey, Alexander Hernandez versus Stevie Ray makes complete sense. And if not, then, and we can't get Makhachev an opponent again, Stevie Ray versus Makhachev will also make sense. Michael Johnson really let me down here. I thought he was going to win. I did think he won, but he should have been more dominant than that if he's going to really sell me that he's back at 155 pounds. He needs to come back and make a statement in that division to really resurrect his career, because he's got big wins over big guys, including Edson Barboza, who's coming off a loss, who everyone else around him is getting booked up for fights, and he's got nothing coming his way. No one's wanting to fight him. No one's asking to fight him. You've got Paul Felder, Dan Hooker, Cerrone versus Cowboy. Gaethje's looking for a title shot. Ferguson, Khabib. He's the odd man out, and he's coming off a loss. Michael Johnson has a win over him already. I'm sure Edson would like that fight. He would be probably favoured to win, which he needs right now. He needs a big comeback fight. Michael Johnson versus Edson Barboza is a great fight on the main card of any fight night. Sign me up. That's a great fight. Good shit. That's the entire card done. Wait! Maia and Askren. I completely... Let's cover the main event. I'm so glad I remembered, because that's the most important thing. Damian Maia, he called out Diego Sanchez. I'm not interested whatsoever. I don't give a fuck about that fight whatsoever. I'll be honest with you guys. I feel as though he should fight. And he's probably going to take some time off. As he said he wants to... I'm sure he wants to be back on the Brazil card at some time in the first half of the next year. That makes sense. In the first half of 2020, they usually do a Brazil card at the start and the end of the year. We'll see if that's the case next year as well, because I'm sure that Maia versus Santiago Ponzinibbio is a great fight that can happen at that weight class. I love that fight. Maia versus Ponzinibbio. It's an all South American showdown. You've got Santiago from Argentina, of course. And then you've got Damian Maia from Brazil. It seems too good to be true. That's the fight I want to see next. I don't want to see Damian Maia take a gimme fight in Diego Sanchez, who he would dominate. Diego Sanchez is an old lightweight, and Maia's a middleweight. You saw the size difference between him and Askren. He'd tower over Sanchez and destroy him. So I want to see Damian Maia versus Santiago Ponzinibbio. When Ponzinibbio's healthy, when he's ready to go, let him come back in the south of America somewhere. Make the fight happen, Dana. I'm speaking of Ben Askren. Where does he go from here? Either one, he fights his inner thoughts for the rest of his life, because he'll retire most likely. And just try and put up a brave face. I guess he's had a rough career now. It's obviously not gone his way. I'm sure he's upset about the result. However, there is a chance for him to still be in this thing. There is a real good chance as well, over a guy he has already kind of beat, if you like the decision of the fight or not. Robbie Lawler needs an opponent in UFC 245. Ben Askren didn't get damaged that much. I mean, he took some shots, but he got choked out in the end. He didn't get, like, KO'd or anything. That would be even worse. If he wants to resurrect his career, there's a guy in Robbie Lawler who's waiting for an opponent for UFC 245, who needs it to be on the main card, so it needs to be a big name. They're both coming off losses. Ben Askren, Robbie Lawler, UFC 245. If he wins, he's right back in the mix. And he has pick of opponents. If Ben Askren beats Robbie Lawler, he can look at someone and go, hey, Leon Edwards, I want you. Or, you're telling me, and I said this in my recap show, if the loser of Covington versus Usman loses, which they will, because they'll be you know what I mean. The loser of Covington versus Usman is going to need an opponent when they lose. If Ben Askren wins over Robbie Lawler, gets on the mic, and calls out the loser of that fight, which, by the way, will be at the same press conference as him on November the 1st for UFC 245, if he accepts the fight, of course, and will be on the same card as him. So he's going to be around him all week. He can set that fight up backstage. If Ben Askren beats Robbie Lawler, the loser of Covington Usman, which I think will be Marty Usman, that makes sense. Ben Askren still has a chance to save his career. However, if he doesn't want to do it, he's an older guy. He's a smart guy as well. He has other options. Like, I guarantee you, if Ben Askren retired, he'd get a fucking commentary role in ONE FC or Bellator within a month. And you know that's true. I guarantee you, in a month of him retiring, you'd start to hear him doing some commentary on Bellator. He's just that big of a name in the sport that they wouldn't let that shit go. You know what I mean? Like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. What does Ben Askren want to do? It's up to him. Give it a week. Hopefully we can get a decision. UFC 245 needs one more big fight to secure the main event. Thank you for watching. Click that button there. Goodbye. See you later.